there is only one place to start. Marcelo Bielsa, who has today cemented his reputation as a maverick, a madman, a genius.
A hero.
One of these things. So if you've missed this, if you've been out and about and you haven't been following, this afternoon Leeds announced that Bielsa was going to hold an impromptu press conference at 5 o'clock. Social media was ablaze with speculation that maybe he was going to resign because of Spygate, which, if somehow you've been living under a rock, you missed that Leeds United sent a backroom staff member to watch Derby training ahead of their game last week.
Honestly, imagine what they learned. Honestly, I bet they learned.
So he turns up at 5 o'clock. It quickly becomes clear that Bielsa will not be resigning, but was instead set to educate the masses. He started his press conference by saying, I'm going to make it easier for the EFL investigation, who are looking into the Spygate accusations. I'm going to make it easier for them, and I assume my behaviour is observed from the most extreme position. I observed all the rivals we played against. We watched all the training sessions before we played them. He went into this brilliant PowerPoint presentation then with the level of research that he and his staff do for every match, but he specifically focused in on the Derby game.
That's the thing I love about this the most.
He revealed every piece, every minute detail that they had on Derby, which was every minute every player played, in every position, every tactical switch they had tried during every game, which is now freely available to every other team in the Championship. You have the smartest, one of the smartest minds in world football just giving up his good stuff on Derby.
Yeah.
The fact that he's done that level of preparation on teams shouldn't be any surprise to A, anybody who's followed Bielsa, and B, anybody who knows that, you know, the level of research that goes into basically scouting your opposition. Because most people have a tactical analysis team that will look into these things.
And he knows full well himself that all the time that he'd sent people out to different training grounds around the country in the Championship, it would have made very little difference. It gives them another little bit, I suppose, just to build up a tactical analysis. But in relation to the game itself, it would be fairly meaningless.
He said as much himself. He said he sent these people out basically because of his own paranoia, in that he'd done every single possible bit of research he could do on your opposition teams, and just in case there was anything else at all, he'd fling out this staffer to go and have a gawk from the hill opposite the training.
20 staff is what he said that they had working on opposition analysis.
Oh, yeah.
But that he, as you say, more or less admitted that it was all a waste of time, but that he couldn't feel comfortable ahead of a game if they hadn't have done this. I would imagine there's a lot of other coaches in the Championship and throughout football going, yeah, we all do this. Stop trying to paint him as the genius who's come up with this level of detail.
But I think that's what he's done. I think he's just gone to everyone. He's just kind of gone, we all do it. I'll just give you a little bit just to go. But basically, piss off.
There are multi-million. This is a multi-billion euro industry of scouting, of research. There's any amount of software packages that clubs can buy into to get this sort of minute detail of a team's training sessions are slightly different.
Yeah.
But anything that's happened on the pitch, you can get.
Yeah, easy.
The detail. The genius is how you then take that detail, how you take that information.
And interpret it and work with it. But the best thing is about it, you mentioned like any number of coaches are going to be up to this, and any number of coaches can now come out and say that we were doing this. But after looking at all the gammon-fueled bluster that's gone along with the admission by Bielsa that he sent somebody to spy on Derby, who else is going to come out and say, yeah, no, we do it as well? Everyone's kind of going to shrink into the background and let him take all the heat. But for most people with a bit of common sense, the guy's absolutely bang on. He's done nothing wrong.
Over the years, though, as well, I've heard it at various football clubs, and I believe it to be true, where kit men have been outside doors, kit rooms that are adjacent to or parallel with changing rooms, away team dressing rooms. That there's very little wall between them, or a very, very thin wall between them, where the kit man goes into the room, listens to what the opposition's manager's saying pre-match and when they arrive at the ground. Basically, just little things. This is common practice across football, and if I was the manager of an opposition when it was happening to me, of course, rightly, you'd be annoyed and you'd want to go and kill the fellas when they're doing it. But this is common practice across the game. This has gone on for years.
But what you're actually annoyed at is being found out.
That's what it is.
You're not annoyed at the other person for doing it. You're annoyed that you were allowed be got.
But surely in this day and age, where you can get tiny little recording devices, it would be easy to put one in an opposition dressing room and listen word for word to what they've said.
Genuinely, I'm sure it's been done. I mean,
I wouldn't recommend it, obviously.
Yeah, it is, but it was things like that. And it's more the fact is getting found out where it becomes the big story. I think it was Keith. Keith was talking Friday, wasn't he, on Sky? Keith was outraged by it. Like, Keith was so strong on it. I was like, Keith, Fair enough. That's his opinion on it. But like, what realistically would Bielsa have learned from his guy watching Derby training? Unless they're working on some special free kicks and corners, unless they're working on something really intricate tactically, which is unlikely. They'll be working on different ways to.
Is it unlikely?
Yeah, but you work on different things. You'll go on maybe work out ways that you might go and press them together and things like that. But that just happens in a game anyway. That's what Lampard would have been doing across the course of the season. He wouldn't be working on something ultra dramatically different from what he's worked on across the course of the season. He wouldn't have done. So he's not necessarily going to learn an awful lot from having someone watching the training. It's just what Richie's saying there, really. It's more paranoia that he actually just wants to cover every base, and that's why he's done it.
When we were talking outside, both Richie and Stephen Doyle were remembering Trapattoni.
Yeah.
Put up these giant green fences around Gannon Park out in Malahide, so nobody had to be put through watching Ireland training.
Me specifically, I think you were saying, Nathan.
You were the best Monday trainer I ever saw. You used to whack them in from 35 yards on a Monday of training. And then by the time the game came around on Saturday, well...
Look at yourself on a Monday, that's the problem.
I was playing left back, Richie, and Nathan, when you used to watch me, so they said I never got in forward positions.
But
really.
the moral outrage about this is just like utterly confusing, because obviously Trapattoni had seen this done in Italy like countless times. And
I would say Trapattoni was the one doing it, which is why he was 100%. Not realising that actually nobody was going to do this in Ireland.
But without wanting to engage in like an exercise of whataboutery, like for instance, Samir Nasri is after parachuting into the Premier League after serving a drugs ban, and nobody mentions it. While he's after signing for a Premier League club,
and playing quite well last weekend as well on the face of it. And what's he taken to get to the level that he's at now? Why do you think this has become such a big story? Because it was Frank Lampard who was done upon. England's Frank because
Lampard.
It is still frowned upon. I was mentioned before.
But Mourinho did all sorts.
Yeah, there was
nobody
talk
seemed to care.
Villas-Boas doing that
did the same on Chelsea.
Yeah, for Chelsea, part of his analysis. But I was just saying before, I have known of managers sending kitmen into a room, and if you get caught doing it, it's just ungentleman, isn't it? That's the way it is. And it's just more. We know that if any manager or any coach can get any sort of advantage, you're going to take it, no matter what. But when you do that and you get found out, it's like, oh, right.
They say it's against the spirit of the game, but the spirit of the game is just constantly in flux. So you can't
diving every single game, every single week, and not the same outrage. But a coach doing his job, unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with diving either, but
I just love the picture of Bielsa's man in the bushes with like wire cutter, with his binoculars, just spying on the. It's just great.
Literally, I came in there. Sky's graphic outside is a picture of Ellen Road for the story, and Bielsa holding some binoculars. That's where we're at.
53106 is the text number if you want to get in touch. My son is a performance analyst with Hibs. They analyse their opponents always. All the clubs have the videos of all matches. They don't spy on training though. Well, that's what he's telling you. Because he wants you to be proud.
Who's that?
No name.
No name?
No name given. Why not?
Well, we've probably just Google. Yeah. We might be able to find out who it is. But no, that's great, yeah.
Of course, yeah. That's the gig. That's opposition analysis.
Yeah.